the Boeing 737 MAX. Just the name sends chills down the spines of many. This aircraft, once hailed as a technological marvel, became synonymous with tragedy. Two horrific crashes, Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, claimed the lives of 346 innocent souls. The world watched in horror as these tragedies unfolded, demanding answers. How could this happen? How could a plane built by Boeing, a company with a legacy of safety and innovation, be responsible for such catastrophic events? The story of the 737 MAX is not just a tale of technical failures, but a complex narrative of ambition, oversight, and the human cost of cutting corners. It is a stark reminder that even in the age of advanced technology, safety must always remain paramount. The quest for efficiency and profit must never come at the expense of human life. This series of events sent shockwaves throughout the aviation industry, forever changing the way we view air travel. The 737 MAX disaster is a stark reminder that trust, once broken, can be incredibly difficult to rebuild. It will take a sustained effort from Boeing, coupled with rigorous oversight and transparency, to regain the confidence of the flying public. The families of the victims continue to mourn their loved ones, their voices echoing a collective demand for justice and accountability. The 737 MAX disaster serves as a somber reminder that the pursuit of progress must always be tempered with a commitment to safety, transparency, and the value of human life. To understand the events leading up to the 737 MAX tragedies, we need to rewind to the early 2010s. Boeing, an American aviation giant, found itself locked in a fierce battle with its European rival, Airbus. Both companies were vying for dominance in the highly competitive commercial aircraft market. Airbus had just launched its A320neo, a fuel-efficient aircraft that was rapidly gaining popularity among airlines worldwide. This new aircraft from Airbus posed a direct threat to Boeing's market share, particularly in the lucrative single-aisle aircraft segment. The A320neo's fuel efficiency and range made it a compelling choice for airlines looking to reduce operational costs. Boeing needed to respond quickly and decisively to maintain its position as a market leader. The company couldn't afford to lose ground to Airbus in this critical segment. The pressure was on to develop a competitor that could match, if not exceed, the A320neo's fuel efficiency. Boeing's answer was the 737 MAX. The Boeing 737 MAX was not designed from scratch. Instead, it was a re-engined and modified version of the existing 737, a plane that first took flight in 1967. Boeing chose this approach to expedite the development process and minimize costs. By leveraging the existing 737 design, Boeing could bring the MAX to market faster and at a lower price point than designing a completely new aircraft. This decision, however, would have unforeseen consequences. The 737 MAX was fitted with larger, more fuel-efficient engines. These new engines, however, were positioned differently than those on previous 737 models. This change in engine placement created a subtle aerodynamic issue. In certain flight conditions, the nose of the aircraft could pitch up, potentially leading to a stall. To address this issue, Boeing engineers developed a software system called the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCS. This system was designed to automatically adjust the aircraft's horizontal stabilizer, pushing the nose down if it sensed an aerodynamic stall was imminent. The Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, was at the heart of the 737 MAX tragedies. This automated flight control system was designed with a specific purpose: to prevent the aircraft from stalling in certain flight conditions. Here's how it was supposed to work. The MCAS relied on data from two angle of attack, or AOA sensors, which measure the angle between the wing and the oncoming airstream. If the MCAS detected a dangerously high AOA, indicating a potential stall, it would automatically activate and adjust the aircraft's horizontal stabilizer to push the nose down, helping to regain a safe flying attitude. However, there were critical flaws in the design and implementation of MCAS. First, the MCAS relied on data from only one AOA sensor at a time, making it vulnerable to faulty sensor readings. If one sensor malfunctioned, the MCAS could receive erroneous data, leading to inappropriate activation. Second, unlike other critical flight control systems, the MCAS lacked a backup system. This lack of redundancy meant that a single point of failure, such as a malfunctioning AOA sensor, could have catastrophic consequences. Third, Boeing did not initially inform airlines or pilots about the MCAS system. This lack of transparency meant that pilots were not adequately trained on how the system worked or how to respond in case of a malfunction. The MCAS was designed to operate in the background, making small adjustments to the aircraft's pitch without requiring pilot input. This design philosophy, while intended to make the aircraft easier to fly, ultimately contributed to the tragedies. Section 5. The Lion Air Flight 610 tragedy. On October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 took off from Jakarta, Indonesia, bound for Pangkal Pinang. On board were 189 people, 181 passengers, 2 pilots and 6 cabin crew members. The aircraft involved was a brand new Boeing 737 MAX 8, delivered to Lion Air just a few months prior. The flight was scheduled to be a routine domestic hop, a journey of just over an hour. Minutes after takeoff, tragedy struck. The aircraft began experiencing erratic altitude fluctuations. The pilots struggled to control the plane as the MCAS system, receiving faulty data from a malfunctioning AOA sensor, repeatedly forced the nose down. The pilots, unaware of the MCAS's existence and its powerful input, desperately fought against the aircraft's uncommanded movements. The situation escalated into a terrifying battle between man and machine. The pilots' efforts proved futile. The Boeing 737 MAX 8, just 13 minutes after departing Jakarta, crashed into the Java Sea, killing everyone on board. The Lion Air Flight 610 tragedy sent shockwaves through the aviation world. Section 6. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 tragedy strikes again. Tragically, history repeated itself just 5 months later. On March 10, 2019, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, also a Boeing 737 MAX 8, crashed shortly after takeoff from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. All 157 people on board perished, representing 35 nationalities. The flight was en route to Nairobi, Kenya, marking the beginning of journeys, dreams and aspirations for many souls on board. The circumstances of the Ethiopian Airlines crash bore chilling similarities to the Lion Air disaster. The aircraft experienced the same erratic altitude fluctuations and uncommanded nose-down inputs, indicating a potential MCAS malfunction. The pilots of Flight 302, unlike those on the Lion Air flight, were aware of the MCAS system and its potential role in the previous crash. They initially followed emergency procedures outlined by Boeing, attempting to regain control of the aircraft. However, their efforts proved insufficient. The MCAS system, receiving erroneous data from a faulty AOA sensor, continued to overpower their inputs. The Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crash confirmed what many had feared. The Lion Air tragedy was not an isolated incident. It pointed to a systemic flaw in the Boeing 737 MAX and raised serious questions about the aircraft's safety. Section 7. Unraveling the truth, Boeing's knowledge and the FAA's oversight. The aftermath of the Ethiopian Airlines crash brought intense scrutiny upon Boeing and the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA. Investigations revealed a series of missteps, oversights, and questionable decisions that contributed to the tragedies. One of the most alarming revelations was Boeing's knowledge of potential issues with the MCAS system. Internal documents and emails revealed that Boeing engineers had raised concerns about the system's reliance on a single sensor and its aggressive nature during testing. However, these concerns were reportedly downplayed or ignored, suggesting a corporate culture that prioritized production deadlines and profits over safety. The FAA, responsible for ensuring the safety of civil aviation in the United States, also faced heavy criticism for its oversight of Boeing. Critics argued that the FAA had delegated too much authority to Boeing during the 737 MAX certification process, creating a conflict of interest. The FAA's relationship with Boeing, once characterized by collaboration, came under intense scrutiny. The agency's ability to effectively regulate the very industry it fostered was called into question, leading to calls for reform and a reassessment of the certification process. The 737 MAX tragedies exposed systemic weaknesses in the aviation industry's safety net. Section 8. Grounded, the aftermath and the quest for answers. In an unprecedented move, aviation authorities worldwide grounded the entire fleet of Boeing 737 MAX aircraft following the Ethiopian Airlines crash. This grounding, the largest in aviation history, had a significant impact on the airline industry. Airlines that had heavily invested in the 737 MAX faced significant disruptions to their operations. The grounding led to thousands of flight cancellations, impacting travelers globally. The 737 MAX, once a symbol of Boeing's dominance, became a liability. Boeing, facing immense pressure from regulators, airlines and the public, embarked on a mission to fix the flawed MSCAS system. The company's reputation, built over decades of innovation and safety, lay in tatters. The 737 MAX tragedies led to numerous investigations, lawsuits and congressional hearings. The families of the victims demanded answers and accountability, their grief amplified by the knowledge that these tragedies could have been prevented. The 737 MAX disaster was a watershed moment for the aviation industry. Section 9. The long road to redemption. Can trust be rebuilt? After nearly 2 years of grounding, rigorous testing and software upgrades, the Boeing 737 MAX was cleared to fly again in late 2020. However, the road to redemption proved long and arduous. Boeing implemented several changes to the MSCAS system, addressing the critical flaws that led to the accidents. These changes included dual sensor input, where the MSCAS was redesigned to compare data from both AOA sensors, reducing the risk of faulty readings leading to inappropriate activation, software enhancements, modifying the software governing the MSCAS to make it less aggressive and prevent it from repeatedly activating in case of erroneous sensor data, and pilot training requirements, developing comprehensive training programs for pilots focusing on MSCAS functionality, emergency procedures, and crew resource management. Despite these changes, the 737 MAX continued to face public skepticism and distrust. The once familiar silhouette of the 737 now evoked feelings of unease for some travelers. The return of the 737 MAX to the skies did little to alleviate the concerns of those who had lost loved ones in the tragedies. The scars of the 737 MAX disaster ran deep, a somber reminder of the human cost of technological failure.